Welcome. Welcome to the 2026 White House Correspondents' Dinner. Thank you to the President's own Marine Corps Band, led by Drum Major Master Gunnery Sergeant Stephen Williams and vocalist Master Gunnery Sergeant Kevin Benier. Good evening to everyone. President Trump, Madam First Lady, on behalf of the White House Correspondents Association, thank you for being here. It is meaningful that you're with us tonight. And White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, thank you for everything you and your team does to work with us every day, whether you like it or not. I'm biased, but covering the White House is the best assignment in all of journalism. We have the privilege of covering the biggest story in the world every single day. The speed is exhilarating, demanding, and it offers a critical public service. Strong journalism benefits the entire country. Tonight, we will celebrate the exceptional work you have done and toast a group of promising students who want to follow your lead. Of course, at the heart of both of those things is the importance of the First Amendment. I want to take a moment to recognize some important people who helped me tackle this job and who helped make this night possible. First, to the members of the White House Correspondents Association, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to lead. It is an honor and a privilege. Thank you to my advisor in this role, Kelly O'Donnell of NBC News. And to the other past WHC presidents who have helped me navigate challenges. To my CBS News bosses, Tom Sabrowski, Barry Weiss, Mark Lima, thank you. Thank you for your leadership and support. To the relentless CBS News team, especially the White House unit, I am grateful to call you not just colleagues, but friends. And thanks to the mentors and other friends who have kept me balanced this year and always. And of course, to my family. In a world full of chaos, you are my calm, and I love you. We have a big night ahead, and we're gonna get started now. So enjoy your dinner, and we'll be back. Thank you.
And now the guests at the White House Correspondents' Dinner will eat. And this should last about an hour and 15 minutes. And after that, the program begins. We'll show you the room from time to time throughout the evening until the program begins. But we're pleased now to be joined by Karen Bohan, who is a former editor-in-chief of USA Today, Reuters White House correspondent.
No matter how mean he is to me, I just love this guy.
Able or willing.
So
his speech is funny.
That the administration is putting forward and making sure that you're hitting all of that, all of those notes. But you also know that when you write a speech for Donald Trump, that he's going to go off script. And so when you're working your way through it, you're looking for those spots where he can go back to items that he's comfortable with, that he'll riff on. But the most part, it's it's like writing a speech for anybody else. You just have to get those pieces in. What I was going to say, just to follow up on your point of access, I always made the argument that President Trump was the most accessible president we've ever had. He doesn't do as many press conferences as others, but he's almost always available on the way to Marine One. He brings the press into the Roosevelt room, into the cabinet room, into the Oval Office, as you mentioned. And that level of accessibility is fantastic. What I heard from reporters was it was also exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Exhausting. And they always had to be prepared. So I did not understand this at the time. I said, well, we're giving you more access than you've ever had before. And they go, yeah, but not the access we want. And I go, what do you mean by that? And they said, we want to go in there with a list of questions that we've prepared and we're ready to go at a press conference. When we get called in at a moment's notice and have to shout over our other reporters and maybe get to ask one, yes, we have access, but we don't have the quality access, I guess, that they were looking for. And that's a difference.
But I would say that those impromptu moments are
Yeah,
quality
I see it.
access.
Just a second. We have an issue here at the head table at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. If we can go to that full screen, it looks like the head table has been evacuated. I saw Oz Perlman talking with Mr. and Mrs. Trump, and they are evacuating. It looks like they're taking all the security folks out of there at this point. If we could get closer, and it looks like the ballroom, I cannot see if people are still seated at their tables or not there. This is the quietest I've ever seen the dinner. Can we go? We understand that shots were fired here at the dinner, and we'll find out what's going on here shortly. You can see a lot of, here come the Secret Service. Let's go in full screen here. See if we can hear. Karen Bohan, you've been a association president. What is the security? People seem to be walking out relatively calmly. Karen Bohan, you were association president. What is the security considerations like when a president arrives
The
at the
security
Washington Hilton?
obviously is taken very seriously, and there are meetings way in advance with the White House Correspondents Association, the Secret Service, the hotel staff. There is a lot of planning that is put into an event like this. You've got 2,600 people in that ballroom, not to mention all of the people in the hotel. I was at the venue earlier, and there were protesters outside. There was a security perimeter. In fact, it was tighter security than I've ever seen. I did notice, though, that at least 2 protesters got into the lobby, and that shouldn't have happened.
So Mike Dubke is a former Trump insider. Does the Secret Service have the last word, basically, on any travel?
Basically on
movement?
anything that comes around any travel or movement of the president, absolutely. And they would have worked with the
This is the White House correspondent.
Leverage.
Okay, we're taking you to some live pictures now from Washington, D.C., where the White House Correspondents Association dinner is underway. It appears as though there's been a commotion in the ballroom and the president has been removed. That's the information that we have at this time. This is the White House Correspondents Association dinner. It's the first for you here. You can see the president at the head. You can see the president and I believe in his first term as well. We're going to replay some of the pictures for you here. You can see the president at the head table with the gold tablecloth on it. There's a bit of a commotion there, and you can see that the president is taken off the stage. These are the latest pictures we have. We're going to play it for you again and take a listen to the audio as well. Okay, so it is difficult to tell what has happened inside the banquet room. But once again, we're showing you the latest pictures from Washington, D.C., where the president is attending the White House Correspondents' Dinner. He was sitting at the head table that you see on the stage with the gold tablecloth when there were some loud sounds reported in the room. And then the president and the first lady who were seated at that table were removed from this event. So the White House Correspondents' Dinner is a dinner that takes place every year in the nation's capital. Presidents generally tend to attend. This is the first time that Donald Trump has attended the White House Correspondents' Dinner. What you're seeing here are the latest pictures. What we can tell you is that the president has been moved outside of at least the banquet hall, which you're seeing in these latest pictures. At this point, this is the update that we have for you from Washington, D.C. There appear to still be other people inside the banquet room that are milling about. Many of these people are Washington correspondents for the news.
This is a room full of reporters, so I know you've already seen the president's tweet. My apologies, his post on Truth Social. And law enforcement has requested that we leave the premises consistent with protocol. And he wanted to emphasize that nobody was hurt. He and the First Lady, the cabinet, everybody's safe. The president will be having a press briefing at the White House in 30 minutes. That is not a joke. And he insists that we will reschedule this event in the next 30 days. And that he wanted to do it tonight. He wanted to continue despite the news, but has to follow security protocol. I said earlier tonight that journalism is a public service because when there is an emergency, we run to the crisis, not away from it. And on a night when we are thinking about the freedoms in the First Amendment, we must also think about how fragile they are. I saw all of you reporting, and that's what we do. So, thank God everybody's safe. And thank you for coming together tonight. We will do this again. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. That was very unexpected, but incredibly acted upon by Secret Service and law enforcement. And this was an event dedicated to freedom of speech that was supposed to bring together members of both parties with members of the press. And in a certain way, it did, because the fact that they just unified, I saw a room that was just totally unified. It was in one way very beautiful, a very beautiful thing to see. A man charged a security checkpoint armed with multiple weapons, and he was taken down by some very brave members of Secret Service, and they acted very quickly and have just released, for purposes of transparency, clarity, I've ordered it to be put out. You probably have it by now, put out on Truth and put out on many other platforms. A tape showing the violence of this thug that attacked our Constitution, and also showing how quickly Secret Service and law enforcement acted on our country's behalf. Really did a great job. One officer was shot, but saved by the fact that he was wearing obviously a very good bulletproof vest. He was shot from very close distance with a very powerful gun, and the vest did the job. I just spoke to the officer, and he's doing great. He's in great shape. He is has very high spirits, and we told him we love him and respect him, and he's a very proud guy. He's very proud of what he does, Secret Service agent. And we looked at all of the conditions that took place tonight, and I will say, you know, it's not a particularly secure building, and I didn't want to say this, but this is why we have to have all of the attributes of what we're planning at the White House. It's actually a larger room, and it's much more secure. It's drone proof, it's bulletproof glass. We need the ballroom. That's why Secret Service, that's why the military are demanding it. They've wanted the ballroom for 150 years for lots of different reasons, but today's a little bit different, because today we need levels of security that probably nobody's ever seen before. But everyone owes a tremendous debt of gratitude to the courage of law enforcement, the law enforcement, and working with the DC police. And we just spoke with the mayor. And when we're finished, the police chief is going to take over and discuss it also from their viewpoint. But they also performed exactly as they were supposed to. And you see the attacker in different positions, but you also see the attacker totally subdued and under control. So as you know, this is not the first time in the past couple of years that our republic has been attacked by a would-be assassin who sought to kill. In Butler, Pennsylvania, less than 2 years ago, you all know that story. And in Palm Beach, Florida, a few months after that, we came close. We really had, again, we had some great work done by law enforcement. But in light of this evening's events, I asked progressives. Those words are interchangeable, perhaps, but maybe they're not. But yet everybody in that room, big crowd, record-setting crowd. There was a record-setting group of people, and there was a tremendous amount of love and coming together. I watched, and I was very, very impressed by that. But we were, First Lady and I were taken very well care of, very quickly rushed off the stage. Vice President J.D. Vance, who's here, was likewise beautifully done. He was just saying how quickly everybody acted, law enforcement, Secret Service in particular in this case, but law enforcement. Marco had the same thing. Pete was there. Pete didn't want any help. He didn't want anybody to help. He doesn't want anybody to help him, but he did get some, didn't you? And I think you also said that it was very impressive. So with that, I'd like to ask Todd Blanche to come up, say a few words, and tell you it's already underway. The man has been captured. They're going to his apartment. I guess he lives in California, and he's a sick person, a very sick person. And we don't want things like this to happen. I think it's very important that I say, though, and I told the representatives of the evening, they did such a beautiful job with such a beautiful evening. And again, they're talking about free speech in our Constitution. That's what it's all about, not just White House correspondence. It was really based on free speech in our Constitution. But I said very importantly that we'll do it again within the next 30 days, and we'll make it bigger and better and even nicer. So I just want to thank everybody that was involved. I also want to thank the press, the media. You've been very responsible in your coverage. I will say I've been seeing what's been out. You've been very responsible. So Todd Blanche, I'd like to say a few words, and then we're going to have cash. And then you're going to go on. We can ask, I guess we can take a couple of questions. I want to thank the First Lady that was a rather traumatic experience for her. There was a lot of action taking place up there very quickly. But again, the response time was really incredible. And we're going to reschedule. We're going to do it again. We're not going to let anybody take over our society. We're not going to cancel things out because we can't do that. We wanted to stay tonight. I will tell you, I fought like hell to stay. But it was protocol. They said, please, sir, because they didn't know there was a lot of action going on, and they didn't know, could there be probably a lone shooter, but we'll find out. We'll find out very quickly. They have it very well under control. So I want to thank everybody very much. And Todd Blanche, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Tonight you saw the very worst and the very best of this country. You saw the very worst by the actions of that coward that the president just talked about. But you also saw the very best because you saw law enforcement do exactly what they're supposed to do. And you'll see the videos come out, I expect, very shortly, and you'll see law enforcement do exactly what we want them to do. And so I echo what President Trump just said, that we are extraordinarily grateful and appreciative of the men and women of law enforcement that did their jobs tonight, including one who was injured. This investigation is ongoing. I expect you will see charges filed shortly. The charges should be self-evident given the conduct, but as you'll hear, there will be multiple charges surrounding the shooting, around the possession of firearms, and anything else that we can get on this guy. The investigation is obviously ongoing and just started. There's federal law enforcement already working on search warrants and doing their job, and I don't want to get ahead of them and don't want to get ahead of the work that they're doing even as we speak. Director Patel and I were just on the crime scene a short while ago, and everybody in this room should rest assured that the Metropolitan Police Department, the FBI, Secret Service, everybody's on the scene doing their job. I know that the police chief is going to give an update from the scene as soon as we're finished here, and I obviously will lead the details of what they have learned to him. But in the meantime, I just want to thank everybody in this room for the courage. And I want to thank President Trump for his words, and I promise you, justice will be served. Thank you, Dr. Patel.
Thank you, General. Thank you, Mr. President. The president's absolutely right. You saw the best resolve of American law enforcement because you, Mr. President, inspire them 24/7, 365. You give them the resources that they need, and they know that you have their back. And that is a changing dynamic in this country. And that's why you saw brave Secret Service agents respond immediately, swiftly, subdue and take down the suspect and safeguard the lives of thousands of individuals at that hotel. Thanks to our interagency partnership with the Department of Homeland Security and the Metropolitan Police Department, the FBI was rapidly deployed onto the scene, took over the evidence response unit, is examining all the ballistics that were found on scene to include the long gun and the shell casings. We are conducting witness interviews as we speak. You will hear from our team on the scene there with the mayor and the head of the FBI field division there. But please know what the Attorney General has just said reigns no truer. You saw the very best of America tonight. The very best unite us at a time of uncertainty because we have leadership here with the president, the vice president that backs law enforcement, and the men and women that I shook their hands on the scene today could not have been prouder to show up on scene. And as the Attorney General said, make no mistake, we are conducting witness interviews. If you have any information whatsoever related to this event, 1-800-CALL-FBI, 1-800-CALL-FBI. No piece of information is too small. No piece of information is inadequate. We will evaluate it all. We will also be conducting interviews of those that were there. And if any of those individuals have information, please come forward to law enforcement or the FBI or the Metropolitan Police Department. We will be examining this individual's background thoroughly. That process has already started. And we are going to ensure that he was either a lone wolf actor or anyone else that was responsible. We will analyze all evidence immediately to make sure that we safeguard this country. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, thank you for your leadership. Attorney General and Homeland Secretary Merlin, thank you for your partnership in law enforcement.
Thank you. Okay, we'll do a couple and then we go to the chief. Madam Chairman, I just want to say you did a fantastic job. What a beautiful evening, and we're going to reschedule. Okay. And after that, it's very tough for her to ask a killer question, right? But you have done a fantastic job. Please.
Mr. President, I appreciate it. As you mentioned, it all happened so quickly.
Yeah.
And I wonder, especially because unfortunately you have experience with these sorts of threats, in that moment when you realized there was a threat and service agents were telling us to get down, can you describe what was going through your mind, how you were feeling in that moment?
That's a very good question, actually. It was, it's always shocking when something like this happens. Happened to me a little bit, and that never changes. The fact we were sitting right next to each other, First Lady on my right, and I heard a noise and sort of thought it was a tray. I thought it was a tray going down. I've heard that many times, and it was a pretty loud noise. And it was from quite far away. He hadn't reached the area at all. They really got him. But so it was quite far away, but it was a gun. And some people really understood that pretty quickly. Other people didn't. I was watching to see what was happening. Probably should have gone down even faster. Melania was very cognizant, I think, of what happened. I think she knew immediately what happened. She was saying, that's a bad noise. And we were whisked away along with other people, but we were really whisked away. And again, the performance of the Secret Service and the police, all of the law enforcement, I thought was really good. So it was very quick. There wasn't a lot of time to be thinking because it was a matter of seconds before we were out the door and gone into an area. We very much, and you wanted to too, we very much wanted to continue it because I don't like to let these sick people, these thugs, these horrible, horrible people change the fabric of our life, change the course of what we do. So we held out. You were there. We held out right till the end, but they didn't want to take a chance, and I understand there was protocol. But we're going to be doing one hopefully within the next 30 days or sooner, and I am ready, willing, and able. And I was all set to really rip it. And I said to my people, this would be the most inappropriate speech ever made if I said one. So I'll have to save it. I don't know if I could ever be as rough as I was going to be tonight. I think I'm going to be probably very nice. I'll be very boring the next time, but we're going to have a great event. And you did a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Peter, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump. There's a report in the New York Post that this assailant assembled his weapon somewhere on site at the hotel. What do you think about that? And I ask respectfully, why do you think this keeps happening to you?
Well, you know, I've studied assassinations, and I must tell you, the most impactful people, the people that do the most, you take a look at the people, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, you go through the people that have gone through this where they got them, but the people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after. They don't go after the ones that don't do much because they like it that way. And when you look at the people that have either, whether it was an attempt or a successful attempt, they're very impactful people. Just take a look at the names there, the big names. And I hate to say I'm honored by that, but I've done a lot. We've done a lot. We've taken this country, and we were a laughing stock for years, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We've changed this country. And there are a lot of people that are not happy about that. So I think that's the answer, Peter.
And after Butler, your team for a while rethought outdoor events.
Yeah.
Do you think that you now need to rethink
No.
indoor?
Well, but then you just don't do events. No, I can't do that. I have to, it is what it is. We have to do it. The room was very, very secure. He charged from 50 yards away. So he was very far away from the room.
And what do you think when you saw the video of how fast he was running?
He was moving. He was really moving. And the reaction time was great. Boy, those guys, they had their guns drawn literally by the time he was there. They were shooting.
That's right.
I thought they were very impressive. And if I didn't, I'd let you know. I'm not going to be, I would not stand for that. No, I thought they were very impressive.
Thank you, President Trump, and thank
Bye.
you for updating us on the
Thank you.
suspect earlier. Were you aware of any threats? Was your team aware of any threats beforehand? And do you believe you were the target of this tonight?
I guess. I mean, these people they're crazy. They're crazy. And, you never know. He was very far away from me. He had to go through a lot. We had resources all over. We had resources sitting at tables, literally in disguise, sitting maybe at your table, who knows? But we had people all over the room. So he had a long way to go. That was really a first line of defense, and they got him. And they really, they acted incredibly. No, there was no notification. We had no idea. Go
Do you
ahead,
know
Kevin.
any political motivations from this?
Well, you never know. Now, we'll be able to tell you that maybe by tomorrow or the next day. He's in custody, and they're asking him a lot of questions. I guess they're going over, Todd, and they're already at his apartment. He lives in California.
Yes, sir.
And they're over there, so they'll be able to tell you. Thank you, Caitlin.
President Trump, did the suspect say anything, or was he wearing anything that would allege some type of motive here?
No, I mean, he was a guy who looked pretty evil when he was down. They had him down. He was fighting hard. He was in my opinion, a sick person. Who would do that but a sick person? But I think you're going to find everything about him. No reason to talk about it now. But tomorrow at this time, long before this time, you're going to know a lot of things about him. They seem to think he was a lone wolf, and I feel that too.
Are you concerned about U.S. Secret Service protection ability? We saw several of the detailees take minutes to be escorted out the room.
No, they acted very quickly. No, I was very impressed by Secret Service. I mean, I'm the one, and Mark Wayne, you would agree with that, I think. I'm the one that would complain. You don't have to complain for me. I would be complaining. I'd be up here right now saying they didn't do their job. Oh, believe me, because, it's my life. And I want to live because I want to make this country great. That's why I want to live. But when you're impactful, they go after you. When you're not impactful, they leave you alone. Okay, a couple of more. Go ahead, please.
Is there any indication that this shooting could have been linked to the war in Iran?
I don't think so, but you never know. We're going to know a lot. We have the best people in the world working on it, and we're going to know a lot. Please.
Mr. President, there's a lot. There's you, as well as some of us who have covered Butler, experienced another horrific day 2 years ago.
Yeah.
What felt similar? You had the First Lady with you today. What felt different? And you have another 2+ years in office. Are you concerned about something like this happening
Well, I
again?
can't be concerned. I can only get great people. They did the job, in my opinion, a much better job than Butler. Butler had one weak spot that we all know about. Somebody should have been up there. But even Butler, we had our sniper on our side within 4.2 seconds from a distance of about 400 yards, one shot, and he was gone. And if he didn't do it now, he's David. His name was David. I say, hello, David, every time I see him. David, I like you very much, David. But think of that. Now, if he doesn't hit him, and he hit him right between the eyes from 400 yards without any notice, nobody knew. He heard a sound. He looked over, and there was actually a tree that was somewhat in his way. You know the story very well. And he aimed, he fired. And if he didn't do that, beyond me, you would have had a lot more people killed. We lost one great person and 2 people very badly hurt. They're okay now. But no, that was so in a sense, that was pretty amazing, the job they did. But they did have that one weak spot. As you know, they should have had that covered. Tonight they had everything covered very quickly, and he was fast. He was running full blast, and they got him before they got any further. I was very far away. You know, he hadn't anywhere close to breach the doors of the ballroom. The ballroom was sealed, and everybody in there. That's why once those doors opened, they didn't want to do tonight. If the doors weren't opened, we could have probably done it tonight. But I think we're much better off rescheduling. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, for you and perhaps law enforcement as well, what is the level of confidence that this was a lone actor? And has the suspect made any statements to police while in custody?
Yeah, I think it's just it's my profession. We have great professionals up here and outside that have been working with us. My impression is he was a lone wolf, whack job. These are crazy people. These are crazy people, and they have to be dealt with. We had that in the second attempt, as you know, and he's.
Just as Director Patel said, the evidence response team is on scene. So right now, everything's locked down. And ultimately, following the protocols, the dinner had to stop because now an investigation has to ensue. So the suspect, depending on what his injuries, if any, will be dealt with and is now hopefully in the process of being interviewed by the FBI and Secret Service counterparts. Dealt with and is now hopefully in the process of being interviewed. We have had contact with, so he had to travel here. How did he travel? Where did he stay? If he stayed in any of those places, the FBI wants to be there and interviewing wherever, hotels, motels, and ultimately where he originated from and where he ended up here and just prior to. So there's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of individuals that are doing just that.
And 1-800-CALL-FBI, the number Kash Patel put out saying no tip is small. Let us know. We know the FBI also interviewing people as they were there. Could be someone volunteers behind the scenes who saw something. Scott, finally, too, President Trump, made a point that this is why, the ballroom, having a secure area, if things like, are held at the White House, there's very little room for this. He also reiterated, though, that, he's not going to stop thugs, sick people. We're not going to let them change the way we do things.
Right. And so he's basically saying we're not going to let them change the way they do things. We're going to keep pushing forward. Your thoughts and reaction to that?
Absolutely. And I think this country, especially not just with the past two assassination attempts, where I think it's made President Trump even drive him even more. Obviously, he's going to take into consideration what the Secret Service is saying, for example, outside events. But this is a perfect example, no matter where he goes, no matter actions of Secret Service and those that were there, that is rapid.
Yeah.
And to be able to draw your weapon and be able to target and stop that threat is just an amazing testimony to the service.
Scott, last thing from you before we bring in our next panel. The video that the president posted on Truth Social, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but basically it suggests that the gunman sort of tried to sprint past one of the checkpoints at a rapid speed. Again, the president says with multiple weapons. We're showing the video now. I mean, really moving. And to your point, quick action by what appears to be Secret Service, but it's grainy. Describe what you see in that video there.
Yeah, so a couple of things, at least from what I can see. This individual looked like he is sprinting and getting to a specific location. It'll be interesting to see if he was firing as he was moving, or if he was looking to fire when he got to a specific location. This could have gone down so bad in so many different ways if he chose to be firing during that sprint. This was a sprint to get to a location. I imagine the long gun is what they were able to see, and then ultimately, what did he have on him?
Yeah, good insight. The DC mayor is now speaking. Thank you.
Thank you,
we
Scott.
appreciate it, Scott. Muriel Bowser, the Democrat mayor in in D.C. Let's listen.
FBI Field Office Darren Cox. We're here to provide you an update on the incident that took place tonight at 8:36 p.m. at the Washington Hilton at the site of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. At about that time, a sole gunman rushed a Secret Service checkpoint in a lobby at the hotel. Secret Service agents stopped the suspect. An agent was injured and transported to a local hospital where the agent is receiving care. The suspect is also transported to a local hospital where he is being evaluated. The president returned safely to the White House, as you know. We are so very thankful to members of law enforcement who did their jobs tonight and made sure that all guests were safe. We have no reason to believe at this time that anyone else was involved. I want to turn to the Chief of the Metropolitan Police Department, Chief Carroll, to provide a law enforcement update and specifics.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, I'm Jeff Carroll, Interim Chief of Police for the Metropolitan Police Department. This afternoon, this evening, members of the United States Secret Service and the Metropolitan Police Department were here at the Washington Hotel for a site detail for the Correspondents' Dinner. As the mayor mentioned, at approximately 8:36 tonight, an individual charged a U.S. Secret Service checkpoint here in the lobby area of the hotel. He was armed with a shotgun, a handgun, and multiple knives. As he ran through that checkpoint, members of law enforcement from the United States Secret Service intercepted that individual. This is a very preliminary investigation at this point. We do know that law enforcement exchanged gunfire with the individual. We do know that a U.S. Secret Service uniformed division officer was struck in his vest. He was transported to a local hospital for treatment. He seems to be in good spirits at this time. The suspect in this case, he was not struck by gunfire. However, he was transported to a local hospital to be evaluated. Again, we're very early in the investigation. We have members of the United States Secret Service, the Metropolitan Police Department, and the FBI here to continue to investigate this matter. But at this point, it does appear he is a lone actor, a lone gunman. There does not appear to be any sort of danger to the public at this time. However, we are continuing to investigate this matter. At this point, I will turn it over to, I believe, the FBI.
Hi, good evening. I'm Darren Cox. I'm the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's Washington Field Office. The American public should be proud of the quick response and heroic actions from law enforcement officers tonight to keep the American public safe. Their actions are absolutely heroic. The public should also rest assured that there will be no stone unturned during this investigation. The FBI currently has our Joint Terrorism Task Force here on scene, along with our criminal division, our crisis response team, and agents from across the country are working on any leads that may come in this investigation. Anyone with tips in this investigation should call 1-800-CALL-FBI. Thank you.
Director Kern.
Thank you. My name is Sean Kern. I'm the Director of the Secret Service. Tonight, we saw exactly what our brave men and women do each and every day to protect our protectees. It's not easy, and I will tell you that they performed admirably. We got to see what they do, and that individual, when he charged a checkpoint, was apprehended. It shows that our multi-layered protection works, and I'm grateful to our partners that helped assist us with building these sites and protecting these sites. Very fortunate that this officer is alive, is being observed, and I'm grateful that the president reached out to this officer and spoke with him earlier. I ask everybody to pray for him and all of our officers and agents that were involved. And I will tell you, we will continue with the mission. Thank you.
Thank you. Judge Pirro.
I'm Janine Pirro. I'm the United States Attorney. Right now, the defendant is being charged with 2 counts, 924C, using a firearm during a crime of violence, and a second crime under 111, which is assault on a federal officer using a dangerous weapon. Now, as you all know, there was an individual, a uniformed Secret Service officer, who was shot. Unfortunately, he is doing all right and he will be fine. But it is clear, based upon what we know so far, that this individual was intent on doing as much harm and as much damage as he could. And thankfully, because of the checkpoint right outside the ballroom, where thousands of people were situated to hear the President of the United States, because that checkpoint worked, there was no one who was injured when it was clear where this defendant was going. Now, I want to make one comment. As a participant, someone who was in the ballroom, who came this evening to be part of a very lovely event at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, I, for the first time, was in a situation where there were shots fired, shots heard, and a whole room went silent. When I lifted my head and when I looked up, every law enforcement officer was out there as we all had our heads down, thousands of them. These are the men and women every day who do what they do silently, and they do it with courage and with dignity. Thank God for our partners, the FBI, the Secret Service, the Metropolitan Police. All of them tonight acted so quickly that they prevented what could have been a horrific event where we were all sitting there in one room. The defendant will be arraigned on Monday in federal district court. But make no mistake, there will be many more charges based upon the information that we are learning in this very fluid situation. Thank you.
I'll take a few questions. Right here in the front, right here in the front.
That this suspect is specifically targeting the president, and is he talking to law enforcement now?
Chief.
Sure. So at this point, what we know is we know the individual charged the checkpoint with a firearm in his hand. We know he was running in the direction of the ballroom that the president was in, as well as other cabinet members. So what his specific motivation was, we can't say at this point. However, as we continue to investigate that, we'll continue to work towards that.
Chief, when you say
there seems to have been a lack of authorization to come to this event. Was this a failure on the Secret Service?
I mean, what we have here is a multi-layered approach. The director spoke about it. We have officers on the outside from the Metropolitan Police Department, along with the escort. The inside portion of any presidential site is handled by the Secret Service and law enforcement partners. This is a multi-layered approach. The point of this checkpoint is to intercept individuals that were there. And what we see in this case is when he reached that checkpoint, Secret Service agents and law enforcement engaged him immediately. They were able to bring him into custody and prevent anyone from being harmed.
Okay, right here.
Chief Carroll, can you tell us if you found a vehicle associated with the suspect? And are you or the FBI conducting any search warrants either on a vehicle or locations here or elsewhere around the country?
Sure, Mark. So as you can imagine, this is very early in the investigation. So, things we're looking into is his background, vehicles. Those are all things that the FBI, the Metropolitan Police Department, and the Secret Service are working together jointly to determine, is there anything else that's available? So I would imagine as we continue to go through this investigation, there will be additional search warrants and things of that nature as the investigation progresses.
Is the suspect known to law enforcement?
At this point, he was not known to the Metropolitan Police Department. I can tell you that.
Right here.
Chief, there are multiple other parties and events happening associated with this weekend tonight. Is there any reason to believe that there will be security concerns at those events? Are there preparations being made locally to protect those attendees?
Yeah, absolutely not. So we have no indication. This is an isolated incident with one individual is the information that we do have. However, we do have additional officers across the city that are giving special attention. We do know there were some after parties and events that are planned that we will be providing coverage for those events.
Yep.
Chief,
Right here.
the
president said that this is not a particularly secure building. Do you agree with that assessment?
I'm not exactly 100% familiar with this building. I do know in this incident tonight, I know there was a security plan that was developed by the Secret Service that the Metropolitan Police Department assisted with, and I know that security plan did work this evening.
Right here.
Thank you so much. You know specifically if President Trump was in target of this attack, and can you speak to their reporting about the suspect assembling a long weapon to get into the ballroom? Can you speak to that at all?
Yes, as we said before, we do know the president was inside the ballroom. We know there was cabinet members and many guests in there. Who specifically he was targeting at this point, that's part of the investigation. We do know that he was armed with a shotgun when he ran through that checkpoint. So that would look like a long weapon in video.
All right, right here.
Clarify, earlier you said there was an exchange
exchange had been fired. Did the suspect fire any shots? And did the uniformed officer, do you know yet which weapon he was shot?
Yeah, obviously, we're only a couple hours into this incident, so we don't have that level of information. The FBI's evidence response team is here. They're processing the scene. So as the investigation develops, all that information will be figured out with the ballistics. The ATF is also on scene here with us.
So the suspect did or did not fire a shot?
Sure. So again, it's very preliminary information. We do believe he did. However, as the investigation determines, we'll pull the shell casings. We'll be able to get more information as we review more evidence. We're very early in the investigation.
All right, we can take a couple more right here, and one more over here.
Thank you so much. So, the president said that he wants there to be another event within 30.
Now in custody after an incident that forced President Trump and other top leaders of the United States to evacuate from an annual dinner of White House correspondents. AP News says this was a shooting of some sort. They say the Secret Service and other authorities swarmed the banquet about a half hour ago, yelling at the president to get out of the way as guests ducked under tables. President Trump and Vice President Vance were not hurt. An officer was shot, but is expected to survive. And we are learning right now that he was wearing a bulletproof vest. Right now, it looks like they are set to survive. So we will, of course, be following this. And we know that the correspondent dinner, it picked back up again without the president and vice president. After all this, the evacuation took place. A person is now in custody after an incident that forced President
What's going on?
Judges or Biden judges, that happens all the time. But yeah, they're seriously they're in a panic. They're in a place of panic right now, and they want Trump gone. But he's not going anywhere. Because as this picture right here shows you, as a matter of fact, no, look at this. Look at this. So a crazy leftist trying to approach unhinged protester rushed at President Trump's limo just moments after the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Stay behind the perimeter. Do not cross the gate.
Hey, you guys.
Yes, back up.
Idiots, complete morons. These people are nuts. It is unreal, but they're broken. Their brains are broken. TDS has broken them. And, but as this picture right here shows, this is the bad news for the leftists right here. Okay. One of the most hardcore gangster motherfuckers this country has ever seen. And Tupac. There it is. One of the most hardcore gangster motherfuckers this country has ever seen. And Tupac. There it is right there. Trump ain't going nowhere. You missed again. He's not going anywhere. And if he had it his way, he would have walked back up on stage tonight. Let's see. What is this right here? MS Now. MS Now says it's unclear who the intended target of the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooter might have been. Yeah, it's unclear.
We do not yet know what the shooter's intended target was. Yes, obviously, this was an event that was well publicized that the president would be attending. He has not attended this event since 2015, but it was a room of over 1,000 people. There were reporters, there were lawmakers, there were business leaders, there were members of Congress, there were members of the administration, and yes, of course, there were the president and First Lady Melania Trump. But we do not yet know who specifically was the target, correct?
That is absolutely right, and really important to say.
All right, so Clay Travis was there tonight, and he just uploaded a video. So let's hear what Clay has to say.
This is the first White House Correspondents' Dinner that I've ever been invited to.
Clay, bad audio. At least there is audio, so we're going to give you a pass.
I was excited. I thought President Trump was going to go full Ricky Gervais on everybody. Wife and I were there at a table just to the right of the stage where the president was going to be speaking. He had come in. J.D. Vance was in. They had just announced that the event was beginning. And then pure bedlam. Initially, I thought maybe there was a protester because people had talked about the idea of there being media protesters. But then all of the agents were running around with guns up on the stage. There were long guns, AKs. I'm not a gun expert, but lots of big guns. They're screaming to everybody, get down, get down. At that point, I thought I heard a pop, pop, pop. It sounded like gunshots going off outside. And my reaction at that point was, of course, the left wing in this country has convinced many of their crazy left wing adherents that Donald Trump is Hitler.
Yes.
These people believe they're heroes.
Yes.
They try to kill him.
He's spending life in prison because if you let him out, they'll probably, if he serves 10 years or 15 years, you let him out, he'll probably try it again with somebody else. They're sick people. We have a lot of sick people. But you're going to know, I think very shortly, you're going to know, Todd, a lot about him. You're going to know a lot about him. Yeah, a couple of more. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Are you concerned about political violence? This could be politically
All
motivated.
violence. I'm concerned about everything. Look, but I can't be so concerned that you can't function. No, I'm here. It's a dangerous profession. I tell the story, race car drivers, I think it's very dangerous. So you take 1% and then take about 10% of 1%, just to break it down very easily, they die. So much less than 1%, 10% of 1%. I think bull riding is very dangerous. If you take about the same 10% of 1%, much less than 1%. But if you take presidents, it's 5.8%. And about 8% are shot at. So nobody told me this was such a dangerous profession. If Marco would have told me, maybe I wouldn't have run. Maybe I would have said, I'll take a pass. No, it's a dangerous profession, but I don't view it that way. Look, I'm here to do a job. As part of the job, it is a dangerous. I can't imagine that there's any profession that's more dangerous. But I love the country, and I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the job we've done. You see what's happened. We have a great country. We've got, I think, the most successful, the hottest country anywhere in the world. This happened over a period of just a year, and we're going to do great things. But with that come risks. There's no question about it. Yeah.
To that end, there's been so much political violence, not just aimed at yourself, but at other members of Congress, state house speakers, you name it. Is that just the cost of doing business to do politics in America anymore?
Yeah. Well,
what does that say about our
elsewhere
country?
too. Yeah, we're not the only country. You look at this great violence with all countries. I was talking to somebody from another country today.
Or actually, yes, here's the security video at the moment. This is outside the ballroom where the White House Correspondents' Dinner is happening. Those are security personnel. This video shared by the president on Truth Social. That man you see there, sprinting past a security barricade, officers drawing their weapons. He was quickly apprehended. He is alive. The president has also posted photos of that man, who we only know is a 31-year-old from California. No other details. The president was even specifically asked if there was any kind of clothing, if there was any kind of message on him that would indicate why he was doing this. The president said at this moment that hasn't been determined in any way, shape, or form. He hopes to learn that in the coming days. Fortunately, no one's seriously hurt. The president is okay. He said he even fought like hell to make the event still go on as scheduled, but it is being rescheduled.
It looked like he checked it twice.
Lieutenant Hudson, you monitoring this area?
Here it comes up. Obviously. Shall I post it as soon as he passed down Max?
18, go for
It looked like he checked it twice.
Lieutenant Hudson, you monitoring this area?
Here it comes up. Obviously.
Go for
Shall I post it as soon as he passed down Max?
18, go for
Yes, the handle said 40, just move by. It looked like he checked it twice.
Lieutenant Hudson, you monitoring this area?
Here it comes up. Obviously.
Go for
Shall I post it as soon as he passed down Max?
18, go for
look like you checked it twice.
Some of the numbers are just horrific. It's dangerous stuff, whether it's here or someplace else. No country is immune. No country. Good question.
At this point?
Well, probably if I decided to just not do much, if I let everybody rip us off and take advantage of us. Look, we're leading the world in trade now. We're leading the world in the military. We're the greatest military in the world. I rebuilt it in my first term.
Silver foil, 4, got it?
No.
Scooch over, slightly
Yeah, I
right,
got
silver
it.
foil, top of the stairs. Got it. Jesus Christ. Sorry.
We can't let, as an example, Iran, we can't let them get a nuclear weapon. Everything will be peanuts compared to that if they ever were given a nuclear weapon, and they'd use it too. Marco and I were talking about it today. They would use it without even hesitation. We can't do that. It was a shame. I said, oh boy, look at the numbers. We just broke 50,000 in the Dow. We just broke 7,000 in the S&P. They said we couldn't do it in 7 years, in 5 years, 4 years. They were saying maybe in 5 or 6 years. And we did it in 1 year. And I called everybody together. I called all of these people and others. And I said, we have to take a little journey. I seek to do this. We just had the great number. We just broke 50,000. Wasn't supposed to happen during my term. Wasn't reachable. We did it in 1 year. And I said, we're going to have to make a journey to Iran. They're going to have a nuclear weapon if we don't do it. We had the B-2 bombers take them out. I terminated in the first term the Obama agreement, the Iran nuclear agreement, which was a disaster. That was a road to a nuclear weapon. They would have used it. They would have used it 100%. So, when you do things like that, you become a target. If I wasn't doing that, I guess I'd be a lot less of a target. But I'm honored to be. Okay, one more question. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, President Trump. Did you know how the gun was brought into the hotel? And also, how does this event impact you as the leader of our country? Do you think it will change your
I
leadership?
like not to think about it. I lead a pretty normal life, considering it's a dangerous life. I think I handle it as well as it can be handled. I think a lot of other people, you read stories where they become basket cases. To be honest with you, I'm not a basket case. I really take it as it is. I do it for the country. I'm not doing it for any other reason. I have a first lady who's doing a terrific job. She loves the country, and she recognizes it better than anybody. She's told me numerous times. She said, you are in a dangerous job, but that goes along with her too. I mean, it's dangerous for her too. We sat there tonight, we heard that noise, and it was either a tray or a bullet. I was hoping it was a tray, but it wasn't. And again, we had some very brave people doing a great job, so we're very proud of them and happy with them. I just want to thank everybody. They will be able to give you all that information as to the names and everything else. I think we released the names already. Most of you would have it, but his name. We appreciate it. I see so many tuxedos and beautiful dresses. It was a little different evening than we thought, but we're going to do it again, and we have a great chairman who we're so proud of, and we have to make it better. We'll make it safer, I guess, right? But we're going to make it even better. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
About how impactful this was. Can we hear from her about?
Well, honey, would you want to say something?
Okay.
Huh?
Right. Millions of people across the globe, in fact, are watching you. You demonstrated courageous leadership, and thank God you're alive. All of us are alive today. What is the message that you want to give to the world that this should change? What corrective measures can we take from here on?
Well, all you can do, look, I don't care how many people you have, how good they are. They can be the greatest people. You have the greatest security in history. If you have a whack job who's got a brain, but it's a little bit distorted or a lot distorted, they can make trouble. I would say, Pete, right? You know, they can make trouble. Some of these people are of genius level IQ and they're nuts. So it can be trouble. So you do absolutely the best. You get the best. We have the best people. Well, look, it was proven tonight. He started running from 50 yards and he was fast. He was like a blur on tape. He was moving. It was very impressive the way they got him. Because a lot of people would be looking and saying, you know, it's like a weird feeling. And they would let him get through, but they didn't let him get through. They drew those guns so fast. They looked like Matt Dillon. They looked like somebody that knew what they were doing. And what do we do? But it comes with the territory. And if you want to do a great job, I really believe that. And you take a look at what's happened to some of our greatest presidents, and it doesn't happen to people that don't do anything. And it's not going to deter me from winning the war in Iran. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I really don't think so, based on what we know. But
a video of that, which we'll see in a second, at the Washington Hilton Hotel at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and was very quickly apprehended by police. The president confirming a few details here, that the suspect is now in custody, that a Secret Service agent was shot, although was wearing a bulletproof vest, and the vest did stop the round there. The president saying he has spoken to that agent, who is doing well at this point. The president would not release any details other than to say it's a male from California who was in custody. He was asked repeatedly, he said, wait, let's wait until tomorrow, until we get more information here. We'll find out that information soon about this person, whether there were any motives, whether there are any new details about what he was doing here. The president also noted, I think, tonally, that there were Republicans and Democrats and conservatives and liberals and reporters and politicians all in that room. And he reached out his hand at this moment to everyone who was there, and to say this was a moment that did bring people together, albeit in some of the worst circumstances you can imagine.
He also praised the security, praised the Secret Service detail that was very quick to respond to what unfolded in rapid succession. He also talked about why he was intending to still speak that night tonight, saying that he was not going to let anybody take over our society, but then also talked about perhaps the inappropriateness of the speech that he had intended to be roasting of the media and beyond, and talked, quite frankly, which is a moment of levity.
Well, hopefully I'll get to go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and I still hope Trump comes out and tells good jokes. I'm glad everybody's safe, thanks to the Secret Service.
So that's the gist of it right there. Now, you guys had mentioned this, but Laura Loomer has reported that this Cole Thomas Allen donated to Kamala Harris in 2024. Of course he did. The Democratic Party is the party of assassination culture. Now, another thing that I find to be, I mean, I'm putting on my tinfoil hat here, okay? But I find this one to be incredibly interesting. This account's only post was the name of the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooter, Cole Allen. His only post back in 2023, and it's right there. It's the only post on the account. That's the only post. 2023. Just says Cole Allen. That's the only post in the entire history of the account. That's crazy. Everybody responding to it. So, yeah. Yeah. So there you have it. Don't know what to make of that, but it's a very, very interesting theory that's out there. Okay, let me see here. Okay, we got that. All right, first of all, I really appreciate all of you being here. Absolutely insane tonight. By the way, this was earlier. My goodness. Let me find it. We got a $400 super chat from Nico. $400 super chat. Are you kidding me? Democrats, leftists, and fake MAGA owns Carlson, Mary Morgan Fuentes, and their anti-American rhetoric. It's gone on for too long. Also, no shock. The perp is from California. This state is a shit show. I know because I live here. Newsom and the Democrats have ruined my state and can't be trusted. Prayers for Trump and America. 199. Thank you, Nico. Always big support. Really appreciate you. And yeah, I mean, I talked about the shooter. We've got many people are reporting on it when they're far quicker than the mainstream media is on a lot of this stuff. But one of the funny things here is this clown has pronouns in his bio, as you see right here. And that should not shock anyone. But pronouns in bio, Cole Allen, who is now currently locked up and is being interrogated right now. Hopefully we will get more information on this person. But he, him, pronouns in bio, that is always a sign of a mentally retarded person. That is not shocking at all. Oh, man, the memes are already dropping. The memes are already dropping. MAGA memers are undefeated, and they are all... Oh, love the internet, dude. I love it. It's the best place in the world. Goodness, man. Okay, so yes, this is right here. This person was named a Teacher of the Month in California. This person is teaching children, I think. I don't know. Maybe as a high school teacher. I'm not sure. So, but yeah, there you have it. Like there, it's unbelievable. Teacher of the Month. My goodness. Baconator Play says, what do you think is going to happen if they succeed one day? Trump goes away. Congratulations. You just put a very vengeful J.D. Vance in office that will carry Trump's legacy for the next decade. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a scary thought, actually. Like what would happen if they were to succeed? I'll be honest. I'm pretty scared of a world where they succeed. Pretty scared of that because like if you go back to the Butler assassination with President Trump, I don't know what anything looks like. If they were successful in Butler, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what the world looks like. I don't know what this country looks like. And that's honestly scary to think about. And I've talked about this before. It's very sad that, and I don't like the fact that we are solely reliant upon one man, which is President Trump. We are like, if he is not there, we would have gotten Hillary Clinton carrying on the Barack Hussein Obama agenda. That is terrifying to think about. But that's where we would be. If it wasn't for Donald Trump, that's where we would be. We would be in absolute hell right now. If it wasn't for Elon Musk buying Twitter, none of us would be able to have the conversations that we're having. And obviously, Elon buying Twitter, was obviously we got the payoff of Trump winning the election. It's crazy, man. And so I don't even know what the world looks like, but I know that that's a very, very scary situation to say the least. Let me see. Nicole Wallace. So this is probably an old clip, but Nicole Wallace of MSNBC, which is MS Now. Only the right is committing political violence. This is what the mainstream media does.
The permission structure for violence. You've got polls about political violence. Democrats don't think it's a good idea. Only Republicans, only people inclined to consume conservative media are now, I think, upward of 50% say that if necessary, violence is okay. You've only got the conduct on one of the two sides.
Flashcast has got struck down for what? What did Flashcast got hit for? Let me get a notification. Where's my notification for Flashcast? What did it say? Got a strike? Watching the news? What? See, man, I said this earlier today about the YouTube AI stuff. Like, there's so many things that are happening right now with YouTube AI. Like, Smash JT posted this, and he says, wanted my intro that I play every night on my live streams get flagged for nudity and age restricted. And I responded, and I said, I'm considering not doing any more intros for the foreseeable future. This AI YouTube system is out of control. Stay safe out there, brothers. It's crazy, man. Again, as much as like I know that people don't love community guidelines violation is what he got, but what does that even mean? This is why I keep saying we're live on Rumble. You know, go support us on Rumble because I don't know what's happening right now with the YouTube AI stuff, man. Maybe Flash will DM me and give me more information on it. Or Gary, if you hear anything, let me know. Let's see here. My DMs right now. All right, I haven't heard from Flash or anything yet. Yellow Flash got taken down. AI or a human excuse of AI. Not sure. Yeah, I mean it's very, very scary right now. What was he watching? Does anybody know what Flash was watching when he got the strike? Is Matt still up? I'm sure Matt Morse is still alive, right? Yep, there it is. Video unavailable. Wow. Let me refresh. There it is. Video has been removed for violating YouTube's community guidelines. What does that even mean? No, Matt is done. So his stream probably ended. Okay. Holy crap, man. Let me see what Flash is saying right now. I'm trying.
Given what happened tonight, do you have any sense of what additional security measures might be put in place to ensure that something similar does not happen again?
Sure, I'll toss it to the Secret Service. Yep, this is what we plan for every day. So we take each and every case and we evaluate it and we do site assessments. And that's why we go out and build these sites per what the event is. And that's how we go about our business.
So will there be any changes or added measures given that this did happen?
We're going to have to evaluate this evening.
Thank you.
Chief,
I
is
understand.
there any indication how the suspect got into the hotel? Was it a guest here? Are you searching rooms here?
So preliminary information, we do believe he was a guest here at the hotel. We have secured a room here in the hotel. And again, we'll go through the appropriate procedures to determine what was inside there. But that is secure. At this point, like I said, we believe he is the only suspect in this case.
Okay, to jump on that question, I understand the multi-approach to security, but to walk in with a weapon of that caliber and get all the way to the ballroom, which is on the lower level, seems to be quite an extraordinary feat. How does that happen?
Sure. So again, I mean, we're very early in the investigation, so we'll have to determine, we'll go through video across the hotel to figure out how the gun got in, how it got down here. Those things will come through the investigation. At this point, we don't have that level of detail.
Okay, last one.
Yes, video appears to show the president falling down when he was being escorted out. Is it clear at all during his evacuation?
No, we don't have any information that he was injured.
Could you clarify how he was detained? If he was not shot, could you clarify how he was detained?
Sure. So law enforcement right here in this very area, they actually tackled him to the ground and handcuffed him.
And how many people were in the hospital? Can you give us his name?
Not at this time. We will release his name, Mark, once we have all the information. Again, we're still running a lot of things down.
How many people in the hospital?
In the hospital, so we have the Uniform Division Secret Service officer who's being evaluated at the hospital who took a round to the vest, and the suspect is being evaluated, but he was not struck by gunfire.
U.S. Attorney Bureau, are you looking at any terrorism charges?
Well, as the chief just indicated, we're very early in this investigation, but make no mistake, if there is anything like that, we will find it and we will file it.
Thank you,
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
The very latest there out of Washington, D.C., Jeanine Pirro, Muro Bowser, Sean Curran, and a lot of developments, Ed, as you just heard, a guest at a hotel.
Yeah, and that's the hotel, the Washington
yeah,
Hilton. They
yeah.
had the news conference there at the hotel because they were all gathered there. So he's a registered guest. They're going through that room, obviously, right now. Let's bring in our final panel here. Richard Strapoli is a former Secret Service official, and Tom Smith. We've had him on before, retired NYPD detective.
Hey guys, great to have you.
Good to always have you, Tom. How important is that he was a guest at the hotel? They think he acted alone. They're obviously going through the hotel, and we're learning that he didn't just have one gun; he had multiple weapons on him.
Yeah, there's a lot of information that they were able to get in a short period of time, and it's great for the investigation. Being that he is a guest there is going to help in this because they're going to back up with the video surveillance, see what he was doing in that hotel over the last couple of days and what measures he took to really pinpoint what he was up to and the actions he took and the path that he also took. Also, they're going to look into his background really deep. There are already search warrants being conducted at his residence. They're going to get into his social media accounts to see who he was in touch with, who, if anyone, paid for that room, paid for his travel. Any of that is going to be a big part of this investigation.
Yeah, the digital footprint. So much we still don't know about Thomas Crooks of Butler, which remains to be elusive and frustrating for many Americans. Richard, your former Secret Service, we just heard Sean Curran say they may be reevaluating things now because obviously the president's movement, he wants to reschedule this dinner. He's there in his tux, talking to the world about what happened. And he said he is not, he said, you don't have to, I commend the Secret Service. Your perspective on how this was executed. We're watching the video right now of them pulling him off. Obviously, Vice President J.D. Vance going in another direction. President says he's satisfied. What do you think? Should there be some changes?
Well, look, the response of the Secret Service detail, the Presidential Protective Detail and the counter assault team is pretty obvious. They got to the president pretty quickly once those shots were heard having been fired out in the hallway. The problem is we've got to evaluate and take a closer look at how did it get to that point to begin with? This guy ended up a doorway away from the president with a clear line of sight, had those doors open with not one gun, two guns, and multiple knives by all accounts, right? It's still early in the investigation. We don't know exactly how all of that happened, but that's the part of the security plan that needs to be looked at. How was this guy able to get this close to getting towards the line of sight of the president, regardless of the response from the Secret Service? Because the response was great, but the response is reactive to shots already having been fired. And that's where the evaluation needs to look at with regards to the overall security plan.
I think it's a great point. The suspect will be in federal court on Monday facing 2 counts. We heard from Jeanine Pirro. I would think, too, it would be learning a lot more about him. They're saying he's a lone wolf, which is interesting. The FBI still collecting a lot of tips tonight. Kash Patel was saying we want to hear more 1-800-CALL FBI. Tom, talk to us about putting together the pieces. You also get a lot of tips that maybe aren't as credible as people think they saw something. And obviously those firsthand accounts sometimes in the heat of the moment end up being erroneous.
Yeah, this is very early in the investigation. The information that we have is going to probably change by the morning with all the tips and information they're going to be getting. But the FBI is going to set up somewhat of a timeline from the beginning points of this guy's interactions and maybe wanting to do this to up until tonight. So they're going to put a timeline together and every interaction this guy had along the way getting there. And, the after action report is going to be big with this, as you just touched on, about what the vulnerabilities were, how he got this weapon that close to the president.
Absolutely. Richard, last question to you. The president raised something that I mentioned before he spoke, which is that some people online were saying maybe the left will stop criticizing the president for wanting a secure White House ballroom. As someone who's a former Secret Service, we could argue the politics of all that. But the president's point has been he doesn't just want a magnificent ballroom. He wants one that is on the White House grounds, not some hotel in the middle of Washington that clearly was not secure. Is he making a fair point there?
Oh, he's absolutely making a fair point. Look, with this third attempt on the president's life, he's now become the most targeted sitting U.S. president in the history of the United States. So for him to say, hey, I'd like to have this ballroom, this big, beautiful ballroom that's secure on the White House grounds, hey, I don't think that's too outrageous. And this once again proves that point.
Not paid, of course, by taxpayers. It's all privately funded. You know, this is a storied hotel too. Ronald Reagan shot outside of it as well. And it's now become, again, a moment here, a flashpoint for President Trump in this second term here. He still has a lot of days ahead of him as president, Tom. You know, we all obviously pray for our leaders. We're looking at, you know, some of the chaotic moments tonight. The entire cabinet was also mostly there. How many changes do you think we're going to see as they move towards events? America's 250 is coming up, a lot of high profile events this summer.
Yeah, they're going to pay attention to it, but they have been, Bianca. You know, ever since Butler, a lot of things have changed on that front, and they're going to now enhance it even more to maybe see what events he's going to be involved in going forward.
Richard, we've got less than a minute, but Secret Service falls under the rubric of the Department of Homeland Security. We're not sitting there looking at the payroll records and the budgetary, bookkeeping as to who's being paid right now and who's not. We know TSA was not initially. You know, there's certain agencies that are fully funded and certain that are not. But a lot of people online saying it's been more than 70 days, Richard, where the Democrats have not fully funded this department. The Secret Service falls under that. Is it time to end that fight?
It's certainly time to end the fight, but whether the Secret Service agents get paid or not is irrelevant. I've been at the Secret Service when it was under DHS and we didn't get paid for an extended period of time. Doesn't matter to me. You're there to do a job. You're going to do it whether you're paid or not. And of course, we'd like to get paid, but you know what? That didn't have anything to do with what went on here this evening.
Absolutely. All right, Richard, Tom, we appreciate your insight. We thank everybody for all their insights tonight. Thank you very much. Bianca, what a night. We thought we were going to come in and be here on Saturday night talking about the president going after the fake news, as he calls them, with a lot of jokes. And this was far from funny.
No, the show will go on. He says he wants it to be rescheduled. President Trump saying he really tried very hard to do it, but it will not be the same speech. Will not be the same tomorrow morning, of course, when everyone wakes up and learns a lot more about the shooter. Again, he's been identified as Cole Thomas Allen, 31 years old, from Torrance, California, had a room tonight at the Hilton. Got past security, as you saw there from the video.
That's
that
right.
President Trump himself has now put out on social media.
The
What
president
a
said everything's going to
incredible thing to
change within
witness.
24 hours. We'll get a lot of new information. You're going to want to start your day Sunday, 7 a.m. Eastern, with our new weekend team, Kyle and Kenzie. They'll have all the latest live right here on Newsmax. For Bianca De La Garza, I'm Ed Henry. Have a wonderful weekend, and thanks for being with Newsmax tonight. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Lady Diana Spencer became a member of the royal family, wedding Elizabeth's eldest child, Charles, in 1981, a relationship that would change.
2026. Kiko says, I believe this is a deep state involved, making things confused, because I believe both parties are involved that want to take Trump down. Well, I believe that the Republican Party is evil too. Absolutely. Chris Whiting says, not to derail this, but with Jay manning the stream at first made me remember this when you two were on a stream. What is this? Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. If you haven't seen it, it's freaking funny. I'll have to rewatch that because that was a very funny one. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Gregory says, did you see they rushed out JD and left 47 hanging something? I did see that. That was very, very strange. Very, very strange. I blame the Democrats. It's sad to see what communists have done to the U.S. with the help of fake news and the wokes. Greetings from Costa Rica. Well, thank you all the way from Costa Rica. I appreciate that. The fact that people in Costa Rica are watching a retard like me on the internet, it's crazy. Michael Williams says, so Candace on vacation and this happened. Let's see. Okay, we got all of those. Liquid Richard 410 says the people that think it's staged will never take accountability at all, except that maybe their rhetoric is violent. They're just that Simpsons meme of Principal Skinner saying children are the issue. Listen, the bottom line is there's a lot of stupid people. Pin your Rumble. I am done with YouTube's BS, says Aaron James. Can one of the mods pin my Rumble stream right now and go over there and check it out? By the way, Keno Casino is on Rumble. That's right, baby. Can't wait to watch the casino on Rumble. That should be fun. And yeah, for people on Rumble, I appreciate it. Let's see. We've got Mar Millen. I got that one from you, Mar Millen. Theo says 199 wanted to update for Pastor Ted. My dad, cancer has gotten worse. Support would mean the world. Donations, prayers, deeply appreciated. Sorry to hear that, brother. Prayers up for you. And it's fuck cancer all day long, man. It's the worst thing in the world. So so sorry to hear that. Prayers up for you in the chat from everybody. Lag for 10 on Rumble says, Jay appreciation post. God has a plan for this man. No other explanations. Man as I am over tonight, obvious divine protection still gives me some small comfort in the midterms. I agree completely. I agree. Let's see. The Zwani again for $300 on Rumble, which is absolutely insane. Thank you, Zwani. Folsom Lockdown says Secret Service is part of the DHS, which gives the commies have locked out payments for 70 plus days now. God bless the Secret Service agents for working with no paycheck for over 2 months. And then Marksman says, long live Trump over on Rumble. Thank you, Marksman. Appreciate it as always. FMJHP with 10 gifted memberships. Thank you. Rodimus Supreme says Flash is going live on Rumble. All right, you heard it here first. Flash is going live on Rumble. So the 7-6 Wild Man says, tonight I was going to unplug from YouTube. Happened to see this and knew my guy Jeremy was providing coverage. Is this the last-ditch effort to maintain the swamp deep state? Well, I appreciate it. My plan was to take a day off as well. And yet here we are. And it's sad that we are in this situation once again. But yeah, I think they're desperate. I really do, because ultimately, I'm just telling you right now, my prediction is that President Trump, I've said this already on previous streams, and for those that have not heard my theory behind this, let me give you a, because the people that are too stupid to understand what Trump is doing, they need kind of simple drawings. So, and I'm not hating, okay? Because I like pictures in my books too, okay? So I'm not hating. But ultimately, this kind of breaks it down for the people that are very confused about what Trump is currently doing in the Middle East right now. And it's a very simple breakdown so you can understand it. This is what Donald Trump is doing right now, okay? This is it. Cuba's next, dealing with Iran. You already dealt with Venezuela. Once Trump ultimately gets all of this worked out, he is going to be in such good shape. Now, he has a meeting in China next month. My prediction is things are going to be handled in Iran before his meeting in China, because that gives him so much leverage, okay? So much leverage. That meeting in China is a big deal. At least I'm predicting it's going to be a big deal. I haven't heard anybody say that, but obviously going to China and meeting is a huge deal. Trump is the best negotiator on the planet. So he wants to go into any situation with someone like that with all the power. Okay? All the power. This is what he's doing. If and when he pulls this off, if and when the investigation into the SPLC continues to expose what's been going on, with those two things working themselves out, talk about the midterms, Yeah, Trump's going to be in very good shape. That's my prediction. Wait for it. The new narrative, says Harley Dave. Thank you. Narco says, when I saw the headline pop up on Fox News, the very first thing I thought of was Jeremy is definitely grifting off this right now they keep trying to take care of him because he will destroy their evil empire. Agreed. John Wayne says, at least you two are not Beardo. Never be Beardo. Damn, Beardo catching strays. Jose M says, so how was everyone's weekend? Thanks, Jay and Jeremy. Thank you. Is it Iris? Is that it? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And see, Chester Wolf says that this is insane, man. I work at UPS and there's security everywhere in my hub. You can't even get into the employee parking lot without going through security. Yeah, I mean, like it really is crazy, man. That's what bothers me. Okay, got you, Swanee. Did you? Didn't get it. Hang on. Oh, there it is. Let's see. No, you're good, Zwanny. You're good. You're good. I appreciate it. I'll respond to you a little bit later, but thank you, Zwanny. I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, the level of insanity, all right, that some guy can just run into the room with the most important people in the world. Yet I gotta go to Disney World. I gotta fucking buy a ticket and show my ID to get into a fucking theme park here. But some crazed lunatic can just run into the room where President Trump is. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Good Lord. It's absolutely insane. Fear the Deerdo says, I was watching live on Golden State Times and I heard the shots. He was live on location. Reports were shooting custody. RFK seen limping later, confirmed hurt. Tired of this shit myself. Yeah, some of these are a little bit earlier on when everything was breaking down. But I'd always appreciate you guys keeping us informed with what's going on up to date, because we do have the best chat on the internet, and it's not even close. The Bella Stella says, inside job makes more sense. Usually any appearance anywhere requires so much planning, and even it closes in the area hours ahead. Security breaches are almost always inside jobs. But let's see. Is it Flamingo Key? Says, I am convinced the Secret Service is compromised. You don't need everyone, just a weak link. We are seeing the fall of the Republic in real time. Let's see here. Gearmaster says, Jeremy and Jay, what are your thoughts about if the shooter had media credentials? Well, I think that's been debunked already because of the information that, we've seen. But I mean, at the time, there was a lot of questions that we did not have any information on. The Bella Stella says, getting through the security at the White House is insane in the first place. Inside job, this is just crazy. One may not agree with his political or his policies, but should never come to this. God protect President Trump. Agreed completely. JDT, another whack job liberal. Crazy how anyone can get even within a mile of Trump and be a threat. Magnum Norris says, all the Dems had to do was wait until midterms to take over the House, but this proves how insane these people are. Mar Millen, I got that one earlier. Sleazy682 says, why did certain right-wing commentators leave the country right before this happened? Was this planned by them? I'm just asking questions. Was it the Egyptian bees? I'm just asking questions. Listen, one thing we've learned is it's okay to ask questions unless you're asking the wrong questions, okay? The crowd that says it's okay to ask questions, suddenly you start asking questions, and they're like, well, you can't ask those questions. You can't ask those questions. Alyssa, for 50 on Rumble, says, go to my channel for breaking news. Well, you gave me 50, and I'll take it. And I'm not going to go to your channel, but I'll take your money. So I do appreciate it so much. But thank you, Alyssa, for the $50 on Rumble. Hail to you. And we got a lot of people watching on Rumble, by the way. 500 people on Rumble, okay? And that's not Alyssa Clips.
For a moment there, the Secret Service was telling guests of this dinner to get under the tables as if there was still an active threat.
Mm-hmm.
So as we take our breath here, again, there are now various media executives and reporters who are on their phones, but they're not cleared from the room. So that suggests to us there's an incident, but they haven't been told to leave the hotel. Now, I don't know if there's something going on outside the hotel and they don't want to put people in harm's way outside, and they're trying to clear a threat there, and it's better to keep everyone in that ballroom. But this is the largest ballroom in Washington. That's why the White House Correspondents Association has it there every year.
And obviously,
this is remarkable. This is
storied history too, with Reagan also being shot.
he was shot
that
at this
same
hotel, not for a dinner, but he
And
was outside.
We want to also set the scene here because there was a calmness. The program had started. We had heard the band playing. The correspondence president had come out to say it was very meaningful that President Trump and Melania were there. This was obviously highly anticipated, his first time as president to attend the correspondence dinner. As you mentioned, many of the cabinet members are there inside the ballroom as well. And it was unfolding in a very normal fashion. Albeit we were waiting to see the president talk, and the big conversation was about the jobs he would get into with the press, the media, of course.
That this was going to be a fun night, not a serious, scary night.
Quickly unfolding now, of course, the scene is and the mood has obviously changed with this sudden development of potentially shots or some loud banging noises. Also, according,
there was an active threat. That was what was the scariest. Luckily, it was all contained on the outside, and thank God for that.
Jackie, I can't imagine everything that you saw and how that must have struck you emotionally. I'm also curious about some of the others that you saw there. Immediately, what comes to mind, not just the broad group of all of you, but in particular, Caroline Leavitt, who is 8.5, 9 months pregnant, Erica Kirk, and even the First Lady, Melania Trump, who has seen her husband now go through these attempts on his life. Can you add a little color about their circumstances?
So the hold that the principals were in was directly adjacent to ours. It was, when I say ours, I mean the other members of the White House Correspondents Association board. The whole 8 of us were on stage with the president, the vice president, the first lady, and Caroline Leavitt. And the administration officials were taken to an adjacent hold that was next to ours. And we were getting information passed back and forth from the president's Secret Service detail, because it was literally just a curtain between us for a little while until he went into a different room. And Weijia, the president of the WHCA, went down to speak with the president and figure out what was going on and whether he did, in fact, really want to continue the night. She came back and told us. And so we were waiting right next to the opening of the stage with the hotel staff who were waiting on orders to bring the food out. They had staffers going out there sort of fixing the tables for a little while. And we were all asking ourselves, well, we need to make an announcement. We need to say something about what's gone on, even if it is, we'll give you more information in a moment. And so we huddled there to sort of piece together from what we were told by Secret Service. We are a room of journalists, after all, what we could share with our colleagues and in the room, and then also with the world. I was trying to get emails out. I got a few out. I think there was a Wi-Fi problem. I was texting, our executives that were in the room. The first person I texted was my fiance and my mom to let them know that I was all right, because anyone, watching from home, I'm sure had a lot of questions. And when I got blips of service, I tried to get that word out, but didn't expect to be crawling in an evening gown tonight. That's for sure.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Yeah. Jackie, can we talk a little bit about the hotel? Because it's a massive hotel. I was there years ago, but it's a long walk up and everything, but it sounds like the suspect was staying inside the hotel, chilling to think about. But when you have an event like this and you have guests that are staying there, and you probably don't know this off the top of your head, but one of the questions is, do they search the rooms ahead of time? Do they search them prior? Is this door to door? How much interruption happens with the guests who are there? There's that question. And then additionally, the president says this is going to happen again in the next 30 days. And I'm just wondering, from a security standpoint, how that happens.
Well, I would imagine that if it happens in the same location within the next 30 days, there are going to be probably some changes necessary to how it's planned. I'm not sure that as a planner on that board, I don't know how we could get that together in 30 days. The president wants to. I know Weijia wants to. I'm sure everything possible will happen to make that happen. But we've run into this issue before. It was a couple years ago when Joe Biden was president, and there was a Gaza protester that was staying at the hotel and tried to come in and make a scene. And that was an issue then for the same reason. That protester was staying there and had been there for days. You know, Secret Service and local law enforcement, they shut down the roads in the hours ahead of time. It's in a major sort of traffic artery right there on Connecticut Avenue. So you can't really shut down traffic too early before something like this. But the fact that you've got guests in rooms coming in and staying there, that is something I'd want to hear more from law enforcement about. How do you secure against those possible threats? Do you have to screen everyone that comes through? Do you have to shut down, the guests who are coming in and make it more selective? I don't even know how you would do that. But
It
maybe
feels
something we need to look at.
like
Yeah.
incredibly difficult, right? Considering this is constantly, yearly hosted in this hotel.
And it has been for many, many years. I mean, we've been doing this dinner since Calvin Coolidge. And so it is a new problem that we'll have to figure out how to wrestle with that. But certainly just a miracle that everything went as it was supposed to, that Secret Service, sprung into action, that no one was hurt, that everyone is with us, the president, the vice president, the first lady, everybody in that room, every soul in that room, that nobody was injured is really incredible. And it was scary, but, the fact that we're here talking about it really speaks to the dedication of our law enforcement officers, the process that they have, how they spring into action, muscle memory kicks in, and how lucky we are to have that.
Yeah, lucky indeed. And it certainly undergirds the president's argument that, listen, it is high time, long beyond time, that we have a secure ballroom. You heard him mention it in the news conference afterwards, Jackie, that, listen, this would take some of this potential problem out of the equation.
He did say that, but he also said, he was asked, after Butler, there was a period of time where outdoor events were discouraged. Are you going to have to avoid indoor events now too? And he said, well, no, if I avoided indoor events, I wouldn't be able to do anything. So I think it's just a matter of figuring out how to make something as secure as it can be. When you're in a room of 3,000 people and there are multiple layers of security to get into that room, there are checks to make sure that you've got tickets, before you can even come down an escalator. The pieces that were in place were effective. But when you have somebody like in the video that they released, charging a checkpoint, and thankfully they were stopped right there, because had they gotten in, it could have been a massacre.
Jackie, the president, as you just said, you can't, after Butler, he couldn't move everything inside. There's a limit to what he is willing to limit. But the first lady was also in the room. This president is also a man with a family that loves and cares for him. And now they have gone through something so significant that feels like a repeat for the third time.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what was going through the first lady's mind. She's a famously pretty private person, and we were grateful to have her there with him tonight. I can't speak for her, obviously, but the fact that the president thanked her and mentioned that she had been, she was great and she went through a lot, I think he was thinking of her as well. Thinking of Caroline Leavitt, too, who's about to have her second child, and, her husband worrying for her in that moment. Everybody in that room had, someone that loved them, that was worried about them. But being up on that stage and watching Secret Service rush toward you with their guns drawn, start to come over tables, and then having more agents come from behind you onto the stage, telling you to get down, whisking the vice president. I was right next to him, and they pulled him out of there while I went down. I do have to give credit to my fellow board member, Andy Harnick of Getty Images, who was taking photos as this was happening. He popped up and he was doing his job to the point where Secret Service was like, get down.
Get down.
And,
Hey, Jackie, I hate to interrupt. I want to get to David Spunt very quickly. We've got an update on the shooter, Jackie Heinrich. Great reporting as always. Appreciate that. David, at the White House for us. He has the very latest, I guess, on the investigation, which is not only ongoing at this hour, it seems to be advancing just a bit, David.
Kevin and Alicia, it is. I spoke to two law enforcement sources briefed on this evolving investigation. The suspect's name is Cole Allen, 31 years old. He's from Torrance, California, Southern California. We know that the FBI going through his apartment right now. We're told that he may have been a guest at the hotel. That's been reported as well. Working to get a little bit more details there. But that is a picture that you see on the screen next to me of Cole Allen, per two senior law enforcement sources briefed on this matter. They're going, as I said, through the apartment, through cell phones, to see who he may have spoken to see if anybody was aware of this. So he's 31 from Southern California. Still so many questions, though, that we are waiting for this hour as we are approaching the midnight hour. You heard the U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro announce some of the charges. She said more charges will be filed in federal court. Also, Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general, was at the White House behind me as President Trump and members of his cabinet briefed the press, and he said that there would be more as this happens. So I suspect that we will learn more about this suspect as the days come out. But I will note that this is extraordinarily a short period of time to not only find out the name of a suspect, but see a picture, see surveillance video. I mean, this was all done within an hour or so of that incident that happened. And that's because the President of the United States and all of the top law enforcement officials wanted to make this public and be transparent so people could see what was going on and what happened. Kevin, Alicia?
David, that really was an incredible thing that the president was sharing this with us in real time as quickly as he could. He was getting it out to us. One note on something that came out of the news conference with law enforcement. The interim police chief for D.C. did say that the suspect was staying in a room at the hotel and that room had been secured. And then additionally, we were told that the suspect had a long gun, a handgun, and multiple knives. And all of that is so incredibly frightening when you just think about the fact that law enforcement says the suspect was in the hotel. And David, I don't know if you know this or not, but how does it work when you have this event and multiple events in this very specific hotel with dignitaries, and you have also guests there that have nothing to do with that event? What are the security protocols? Do you know how that works?
Well, I don't want to speculate. I don't know specifically how it would work each time, but I'll tell you this. Gun laws in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, are incredibly tight, are incredibly strict. So to think that, yes, he may have been a guest at the hotel, as the interim police chief said, and yes, he may have had guns on him, it's curious to see, number one, how that would have happened, and number two, what the security protocol was like for guests, knowing that the President of the United States, the Vice President, pretty much the entire cabinet was there. I said earlier when I was on the phone shortly after this happened, because I was in the room when it happened and heard 4 of those gunshots about a half of a floor or a floor up from where we were. That was the most secure room in the world, one could argue, at that exact time, because the President of the United States, the Vice President, the cabinet was in there. There were helicopters above, and this was before that even took place, before any shots were fired. It was just such a secure room. So it's a very important question you asked, and those questions do need to be asked to the hotel and to local law enforcement, federal law enforcement, about the security posture at that hotel, given the fact that he was a guest. But I do know that D.C. gun laws are extraordinarily tight. Doesn't mean that he could not have potentially smuggled a gun inside. We'd have to see how long he was staying there for. But security was tight because this was something that was on the books for a long time, and President Trump had committed to coming to this several weeks ago. Alicia?
David, let me jump in here really quickly. Thank you, Alicia. You know, when I think about some of the coverage that I've seen tonight, the question has been, I think, a fairly decent one, and that is what can be done moving forward to ensure the safety, not just of the president and other dignitaries, but obviously of the attendees as well. And yet, I think as this investigation moves along, one of the more important aspects just might be how we can, at the very least, continue to surveil everyone who comes in and out of that particular facility. Because I think there are a lot of people who feel very strongly, David, that this hotel has history. And unless and until there is, for example, a secure ballroom at the White House that can house this many people at a major event, there has to be a lot more done. And those are conversations that have to take place immediately and in a fulsome way moving forward. I think you would agree.
Yeah, I would agree. And I will add that, this hotel, for people that don't know, is the hotel where just outside downstairs, Ronald Reagan was shot in 1981.
That's right.
And many people remember that. That was outside. That was a different circumstance. It was a different entrance. But that was where President Reagan was shot. So the hotel absolutely had history. And, there certainly will be a full review of this going forward. This is where the dinner has been held for decades. It's not clear if the dinner will be continuing to be held here in the future, but it's a location that could fit all of those people. I mean, it was massive, but I will say, being inside tonight, it did feel about as packed as it felt since I've been going to that dinner. I mean, you could see that just about every person was in there, and every table they could have fit, I should say, was in there, and people were sitting almost against the walls in the back, probably further than they have been before. So the security protocols are something that authorities need to look at. Kevin.
And David, can you talk to us a little bit about where you think this investigation goes? It's just getting started. We know that they're in the apartment, as you reported, in Torrance, California, about who this person, the suspect, Cole Allen, is, if he had any public ideologies that he'd shared on social media, anybody he knew. They're calling him a lone gunman right now, law enforcement. Where does this go?
Well, they're talking to people that know him. They're going to check social media posts. They're going to take those ballistics. They're going to take the bullets to the crime lab, the FBI crime lab in Quantico, which is about 20 minutes, 25, 30, with no traffic in Washington, D.C., just outside D.C. in Northern Virginia. So that's where they take all of that. That is the best of the best who works. Those are the best of the best who work at Quantico. As far as the charges are concerned, D.C. is unique because it's not a state. It's a city, but it's within a federal district, the District of Columbia. So federal charges almost certainly will be filed in this case. And I think just from seeing what we've seen tonight over the past hour or so, when President Trump took the podium behind me in the press briefing room, again, it's truly something to see the video and the pictures and have all of this information about this person so soon. So I suspect these charges will be escalated as far as the speed of the charges, the speed of the timetable of law enforcement. Sometimes law is slow, sometimes justice can be slow, but I have a feeling in this case things will be sped up.
David, I know you to be a tough guy. I'm just curious, in the moments when everything was unfolding, what was going through your mind?
Well, I was talking to a colleague of mine, and we were just having a regular conversation. She was sitting next to me, and I heard 4 pops, pop, 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 pop. And a lot of people started screaming and said, "Get down, there's a gun." So immediately got down on the floor, made sure my colleagues were on the floor, made sure everybody was down and secure. And we didn't move until we really could hear people going through to make sure that everybody was safe. I saw the FBI director, Kash Patel. He was being escorted out when I was able to get up from the floor to see what was going on. And it was chaotic. I mean, no question it was chaotic. But in the end, we're thankful that nobody was hurt inside, and we're thankful that the officer is okay.
You know, David, in the immediate moments when all of this was unfolding, we were hearing conflicting reports that this was going to continue, that the event was going to continue. The president wanted to go back out there and make his speech, that basically that the show was going to go on. And then we heard, no, it's going to be canceled. So it became kind of evident that there was negotiation going on between the president and the Secret Service over exactly what was possible here, right? Because he wants to show the American public that he's still standing once again. So that brings me to the next event that he says is going to happen within the next 30 days. He hopes that there will be another White House Correspondents' Dinner where you can actually have dinner and hear what he has to say. How tough is that going to be to pull off?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be difficult because the White House Correspondents Association, who works incredibly hard, and the board, Jackie and everybody on that board worked so hard all year to put this on. They put everything on tonight. Everything, the money was spent, the dinners were there, things were done. I mean, this was the night. So to get that together in 30 days might be difficult, but it's something the president said he wants. I suspect that he spoke to members of the board as well. And who want to do it. So that's the goal, is to get it done. But the reason that he did not come back out tonight, even though he wanted to, as he said in the briefing room, is because it just was too dangerous. the Secret Service and probably some of his aides were concerned that there could have been somebody else. I mean, when that's happening that quickly, now we know a little bit more. Tomorrow we'll know even more about this suspect. But as it's happening and you're 30, 45 minutes out, you don't know if there could be another shooter or another attacker. So you have to be careful, and that's why that decision was made.
David, we're looking at pictures of the video that the White House released, some of the security footage. What struck you in watching how quickly the gunman tried to rush past the mags and how quickly the team sprung into action?
Incredibly quickly. He was going for it. He was ready to go for it. And those Secret Service officers and officers were there. They were incredibly brave, and they jumped into action. And, you know, we're glad that that officer is okay, that was hit. The officer was hit. His bullet resistant or bulletproof vest was hit, and we're glad that that person's okay. But yeah, it just shows you what these people deal with on the stage. President Trump and Vice President Vance and the First Lady, they were all taken to safety, and immediately you saw agents with long guns and shotguns, rifles come to the stage just seconds after it sounded, those gunshots sounded. So they were ready, and they are ready.
Incredible reaction. Alicia.
Yeah, and David, I think this week coming up is going to be very interesting in Washington. When it comes to the conversations, Bill Melugin pointed out very early on when all of this was unfolding that as of right now, the U.S. Secret Service under the DHS is not funded, is not fully funded. There are some frontline agents that are being paid. They're getting money from the big, beautiful bill, but there are many people behind the scenes who are not. And I have to imagine that tonight that changes at least some of the conversations, if not some sort of action, maybe going forward.
Well, it certainly may do that, no question, because, yes, part of the Secret Service has been without funds, and that clearly is something that I think lawmakers on both sides will talk about. Something else is very important to mention is that on Monday, King Charles and Queen Camilla are coming over from the United Kingdom.
That's right.
And they are going to come here for a state visit for several days. And they're going to be in Washington. Sure, they're going to be at the White House behind me. Things are secure here. But they also have plans to go to New York and meet with everyday people. They have plans to go to Virginia, a national park in Northern Virginia, and see local people there. So, you know, I suspect that the Secret Service is going to work on that plan and really come together and talk a little bit more now that this happened tonight, given the fact not only that they've gone without funds, but the fact that the King and Queen will be here in just a few days.
Great reporting as always, David Spunt for us over at the White House. Want to welcome back the senior White House correspondent and rotating host of the Sunday Briefing, Jackie Heinrich, once again. Jackie, you heard David there mention the investigation is already quickly underway. What else can you add for us tonight? By the way, great job. I know that it is not easy to have gone through that personally and then have to make your way to the Capitol, and somehow I imagine you wandering to an Uber to get over to the Bureau. So well done by you.
Thank you. Your first question, I'm sorry, remind me of that one. My thoughts?
Yeah, no,
my thoughts
your
on the
thoughts.
night?
Yeah.
Well, again, I'm just grateful that, you know, the security protocol worked as it was supposed to, and that no one is injured or worse. As far as, you know, the night goes and rescheduling it, and, you know, the security questions about whether we can hold that event in a hotel ever again, these are things that are going to be conversations for tomorrow. I think that the takeaway for tonight is that everything went as it was supposed to. In the event like something